Let's podcast alongside Joe Giglio. I'm Joe Ovies. We are not inside Eford Studios, but we always thank our friends at Empire Properties. They understand that we're doing our due diligence and not trying to drive downtown from the North Hills area or the Garner area because we want to stay safe, Joe. I don't want to get stuck on the side of the road. I don't want to do something stupid like, not kick a field goal in the second quarter to take the points. Or, well, I don't know. If you're Sean McVay, super genius, I'm not going to run the ball at any point. Maybe I should kick a field goal here because I'd have 5 minutes to potentially get the ball back and just have to kick another field goal. I don't know. I mean, those are silly things to do, and we're not about to do anything silly here. So thanks to Empire Properties, and of course, thanks to our friends at Copiers Plus. Check them out online at copiers-plus.com. Print management, document management. I don't know if they have futures management, Joe. How's your futures management going?
Yeah, but wouldn't pull that Band-Aid off. Just throw some salt in that wound.
Let's just rip it. You had your Rams ticket. What happened, Joe?
Yeah, they let me down. And we can get to the theme of today's show right away if you like.
Let's do it.
Which is don't fuck with the Carolina Panthers. That's what the answer is here. Because I distinctly remember there was an NFC West team that went to Charlotte, took care of business, left there. No muss, no fuss, no stems, no weed, no nothing. Just out of there, right? Mm-hmm. And there was another one that went there, turned the ball over a bunch, fucked around, found out, and in part, this game was played in Seattle, and with the noise and the elements that the Rams had to deal with on the road. The Rams also had to play an extra football game, which I think ultimately kind of led to some of their problems yesterday. But hey, man. Moral of the story, I now believe the only team that has won the Super Bowl in a year where they've lost to the Panthers are the New Orleans Saints, their division rival, because they split that year. So technically, we haven't had a team win the Super Bowl without at least a win over the Panthers in the year that they've won it. So,
well, it's funny you mentioned the Panthers because I feel like I am responsible for this Super Bowl matchup. Without realizing it. I cracked open that Super Bowl 50 beer, that Bud Light, that's been sitting there for 10 years. I cracked it open because something had to give. There was the pattern. There was, hosting a playoff game. If we were going to bring this all home with opening the season against the Jaguars and Ohio State coming off of that national championship, like all the Jennifer Lopez, shout out to Barstool. Like all these things that were there for the Panthers to get back to the Super Bowl, I was like, I'm doing everything possible. I cracked open that beer and I drank it and I felt like crap. But what I did not realize is that drinking the Super Bowl 50 beer was almost like a monkey's paw situation. While I did not get the Panthers into the Super Bowl, we have all sorts of Panthers ties now represented in the Super Bowl. As we all have heard by now, and we're going to hear this for the next 2 weeks, so buckle up, Drake Maye was at that Super Bowl in San Francisco back for Super Bowl 50. Him and his dad, Mark Maye, they found tickets and they went to the game and they watched the Panthers lose because he was that big of a Panthers fan back in the day. Cam Newton was his idol growing up, right? So there we go. So there's Monkey's Paw number one. The guy who attended the Super Bowl is now the quarterback of the Super Bowl 10 years later. Who'd have thought? And then the other Monkey's Paw is Sam Darnold, the guy who drew one of the worst versions of the Panthers logos we've ever seen and was probably at one of the low points in the Panthers' history in the last 10 years since that Super Bowl run. He balled out in this game for the Seattle Seahawks. Yes, he's got weapons to throw to, but dude did make some key throws. And now the man who gave you this, I guess this is from our friend Darren Gant, who was like, hey, man, put some respect on that drawing. We made T-shirts out of that thing, of that terrible Panthers logo. I guess there are some fans out there who bought that T-shirt that might be rocking it on Super Bowl Sunday as some sort of representation for the Carolina Panthers. So I'm going to channel my dad here a little bit in that there's all sorts of like Santeria that happens that ends up, giving you these results, right? Well, I take blame here. We didn't get the Panthers in the Super Bowl, but we got all sorts of Panthers storylines. Charlotte, Joe. Charlotte is the center of the Super Bowl universe over the next 2 weeks, because it all comes back to things that have happened inside Bank of America Stadium. Who'd have thought, man? Who'd have thought? We don't get the Panthers themselves, but we do get Panthers storylines. Of course we do.
Charlotte's absolutely the big winner. And I know I can't decide today, and I respect both of them, and they may not believe this when I say this. But the two most angry people at Jim Nantz right now are Scott Fowler in Charlotte and Lucas with Carolina, because that tale that Jim Nantz wove at the end of that Bronco of the AFC Championship game, that was straight from the sepia tone. Play the violins. Adam and Scott absolutely love to tell those stories. Love to tell those types of stories. So they are both upset today that Jim Nantz spoiled that for them. I assume both knew that the young Drake, the Padawan learner for Super Bowl 50, was there. I'm joking, but they would have both do a very good job with that story.
Of course, that's their bag, man. That is just like for you and me. Just like for you and me, scrambling is our bag. Oh, you need us to like set up shop outside of a tailgate following a game and bullshit for an hour? We got you. You want somebody to pull at those heartstrings, to bring this thing home, to make it about you. You go in there and you make it about you, okay? And I say this lovingly. I do not say this with any sort of mean-spiritedness in my heart. When you need somebody to go out there and make it about you, man, Scott Fowler and Adam Lucas, they like, yes, give it to the Tar Heels. They knew exactly what they need in this moment to feel good about themselves. Yes. And there's another Drake Maye aspect to this that I find hilarious, but we'll get to that in a second.
Well, I was going to say there are a couple of people that I am happy for, and it starts on the NFC side. Sam Darnold, obviously one of them. But no, well, first of all, let me just get this out of the way.
Yeah.
Tom Brady, just in case you don't know, all of those Seattle fans that you were glazing for 3.5 hours on that broadcast hate you. They hate your guts.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
So I don't know who you were trying to win over, pal, but that was all in vain. Okay?
Right.
Those are the exact people that I am actually happy for. Our Seattle fans, the 12s, which apparently is a thing. I mean, I'm not trying to go into your city and tell you what is and what isn't a thing, but like people just like Michael Strahan just casually dropping the 12s. Like,
yeah,
okay.
That's been a thing. There was even a lawsuit. Right, there was a lawsuit because Texas A&M's got the 12th man and all that stuff.
Okay.
Remember when I had the fortune to go to another Super Bowl Radio Row when it was in New York, and Seattle was there against Denver, right? And they had the big 12 flag everywhere, and that's been around for a long time. It's just one of those things that Seattle's not exactly in our day-to-day. And they haven't been really in our day-to-day since the Legion of Boom Russ era, right? But that's been like that for a long time now.
Yeah, I'm ecstatic for those people, and I just have a little bit of advice for Mike McDonald, who's done an unbelievable job, by the way. How did we not get on the train of a guy named Mike McDonald, like the original Yacht Rockers? Like I really missed the boat on that one, but my technology skills aren't great. So I was like, hey, Billy Joel song, Fleetwood Mac song, whatever you do, Seattle, if you get the ball on the goal line against the Patriots in the Super Bowl, run the ball. Oh my God. So that's exactly why I'm happy. And it had to be the Patriots. I would only be happy for the Seahawks if the opponent was the Patriots. You're right. We would have gotten a Super Bowl rematch from the 2010s either way.
Yes.
But the Seahawks owe the Patriots. They should make Darrell Bevel and Pete Carroll come out. They should put them on the field. They should put them in a box or a vat of water so people can dunk them and make them watch that play over and over again. And really, the vengeance is Seattle's here. I don't care that Belichick's gone. I don't care that Brady's gone. In order to complete the circle now, they get the exact opponent that they needed. I am happy for their fans. As you like to say, history doesn't repeat, but it sure does rhyme. And what a glorious gift for Seattle to be able to get the New England Patriots in their 2.0 or whatever they're going by in New England right now. And on the opposite end of my happiness for Seattle fans, Boston and Patriot fans, honestly, seriously, no one wanted you back. No one's rooted. I heard Josh Graham on Westwood One yesterday.
Yeah.
Oh man, this team's likable. No, Josh. No.
Well,
no one wanted them back, Josh. No one.
he's
No
actually no. Josh is
People wanted to
actually
see them suffer, Josh.
no. Josh is actually right. Okay.
No, he's right about Sam Darnold. He's right about Sam Darnold.
No, he's right about Drake Maye. He's right about Mike Vrabel. He's right about that Patriots team. The problem is that it's kind of like Duke. I can sit here and tell you it's a likable Duke basketball team, but nobody wants to hear that. Nobody wants to hear that John Shire is likable. Nobody wants to hear that Cam Boozer's that dude. He's a likable player and all that kind of stuff. People just go, it's Duke. I do not like them, right? If this happened at Tennessee, let's say things were working out in Tennessee for Mike Vrabel, so to speak, and they ended up with Drake Maye, and this is happening, then it's a very likable story. How do you not put your arms around it? The problem is, to what you just alluded to, it's New England. So the New England of it all kind of creates this situation where we have to hear Patriots fans talk about suffering over the last, 7 years or whatever it was. Like, please stop it. Like, you did not suffer. And I think it's interesting, and this is something we might explore in OG business, but like through our lifetime, we've gone through instances where in legacy media, New York ran the show, right? New York ran the show. If you wanted to be big time in sports, well, eventually you had to go work the New York market, and the New York things permeated throughout national coverage. Yankees, Giants, Jets, etc., right? But somewhere along the lines in the new media era, if you will, which isn't necessarily new media anymore, but when blogs and podcasts took over as the main form of how you consume sports, well, guess who really took stranglehold on that? It wasn't New York media. It was Boston bros. And on both ends of the spectrum, you have Bill Simmons and you have the Barstool guys, right? And Portnoy is a Boston guy, Patriots guy, went to war against Roger Goodell and Tom Brady. And then Bill Simmons, as obnoxious as he is about being the Boston guy, kind of permeated throughout most of that coverage. So it's interesting to me that is kind of why we have this attitude that we have for the New England Patriots, is because it's constantly in our face about what they are, who they are, and everything else. And then the other thing that would add to that, and we might as well get into it, is how the Patriots got here, right? And all the discussion about the schedule and the breaks that they got. And I find it interesting that there are so many people that are like inflexible on this particular topic, and that two things can be true at once. Like everything that could go right for the Patriots did. I don't know why that's a hot take. I don't know how that's hateration. That's just a fact. If it could go their way, it did. From their schedule to the players who were hurt. Like, I've got so many people who have been in my mentions showing you no quarterback has gone through these defenses on their way to the Super Bowl. That's telling one half of the story in this particular case. Okay. Yes, the Patriots got by 10-7 over a Jarrett Stidham team who very much turned into Stiddy in the second half. And if Sean
Jarrett
Payton,
Stidham, whose backwards pass led to New England's only touchdown of the game. His colossal turnover was their only touchdown of the game.
If Sean Payton doesn't get cute with it in the second quarter and kicks a fucking field goal and they're up 10, who's to say these things go a different way, right? So if it could break your way, it did. Same with the schedule. Again, I said this last week and I'll stand by it now. You could admit and you could agree that the schedule was very much an easy situation for them. And key games against key teams were missing key players, whether it was Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase, or not having Lamar Jackson for the second half. All these things happened, okay? However, before you start hammering out, you're just a hater, or the worst thing is, oh, you're state guy, so you don't like Drake Maye, even though we've gone over multiple times how we've been very much on the Drake Maye bandwagon since he showed up at UNC. You still have to go out there and take advantage of those situations, because I do think it's interesting. You're talking about taking advantage of the situations. I'm looking directly at Josh Allen, right? Looking directly at Josh Allen and the Bull and the Bills. And it's hilarious to me that draft class that featured one Sam Darnold, all of those guys, which includes Lamar Jackson and includes Josh Allen and includes Baker Mayfield, the one guy who actually gets to the Super Bowl is that dude who we all wrote off because he saw ghosts. And then he tanked out he got benched while he was with the Panthers. This guy's the one who ends up there, right? So all I'm getting at here is there have been countless teams with the door open for them, and they have stumbled over themselves on the way out. The Patriots get a lot of credit for taking advantage of the situation in front of them because not every team does. So it is okay to point out, hey, man, here are all the lists of reasons why things went your way this year. And at the same time saying, salute, because other teams have been in the same position as you and then just trip over their dicks on the way. So that, to me, I think is kind of the interesting story about the Patriots and how they got here. It's a great story and everything else, but you do wonder when, the horseshoe up their ass eventually goes away. Could it happen? And it's going to be interesting too, because one thing that I do know about the Super Bowl and how the coverage works over the course of the 2 weeks, the storylines get set the minute these conference championship games end, and then you have to battle those conversations for the next 2 weeks. And one thing that I think is going to be interesting for the Patriots going forward is this idea that there's some sort of extension of a dynasty. No, this is a completely new deal, a different kind of quarterback. This is not Tom Brady going on to win another 7 Super Bowls or whatever it is with Drake Maye. Take advantage of the opportunity you have now. This is not guaranteed to you going forward, especially with all the breaks that you had go your way. So I do think it's kind of an interesting storyline for the Patriots going forward of how do they handle all this stuff for the next 2 weeks. Whereas with the Seahawks, I don't think they're going to be much of a discussed team, all things considered. I do think that all eyes are going to be on the Patriots for the next 2 weeks, not necessarily the Seahawks and going forward. Oh, one other last thing too, as I'm sitting here like realizing how everything comes back to Super Bowl 50 now that I'm kind of rolling it off the top of my head. And we're sitting here talking about the Patriots. You know who else went through this on their way to the Super Bowl? The Panthers. Because let's not forget, in Cam Newton's MVP season, they got the same treatment. Oh, and I remember actual conversations taking place on ESPN discussing whether or not the Carolina Panthers were the worst 14-0 team in history. Like, yeah, they're undefeated, but are they the worst undefeated team we've ever seen? Yeah, they're 14-0, but please, there's better teams than them. And I remember arguing then, you can say what you want about the schedule, but a lot of teams end up with easier schedules. That doesn't necessarily mean they win them. So credit, and it was also how they went about winning those games too, because they were crushing people back then. So all these things, they're all remixes of previous stories. And the Patriots are no different than what we saw from the Panthers in a lot of ways in terms of how we talked about their schedule and how they got here. There's not much difference 10 years later, honestly, in my opinion.
You got to give Mike Vrabel a lot of credit. And big part of that is keeping Josh McDaniels and saying, I'm out of your way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I keep trying to tell people that your play caller is your most important person on your team because your play caller is the one who puts your players in position to have success. And if you can't do that, you can't win football games. To your point about Sean Payton, like, well, why were they throwing with Sidham's back to the end zone with the lead in a game like that? Especially while Tony Romo spent the whole game talking about Bill Parcells. And Sean Payton talked to Bill Parcells this week.
Yeah.
Bill Parcells famously had Jeff Hostetler. They went and they beat the San Francisco 49ers in the 91 NFC Championship game by kicking 5 field goals. So, they had the conversation about protecting the ball. So this play calling concept, it kind of evolves and you see it. And it was really crystallized in the Seattle game, Joe, because Clint Kubiak, he had the Rams in a blender in the second and third quarters.
Yes.
They didn't know, like, even Tom Brady, the footballiest of football people, right, is going, what we're all saying, how does Jackson Smith and Jigba get open? Like,
constantly.
How is this happening? It's like, it is a little bit of jealousy in his voice, right? Like, hey, man, when I was throwing to Rob Gronkowski and everyone knew he was getting the ball, there's 3 people on him.
So not only is JSN getting schemed open, okay, that's good coaching. Yeah. Sam Darnold's making some freaking throws. That's the other thing. Number one. Number two,
he is.
That Sean McVay was a broken man. I don't have the audio in front of me, but after the game, in crucial, I forgot, it was the crucial moment there at the end. He's like, it was in the end zone where they couldn't come away with a touchdown to take the lead there late. It was like, well, they kind of lucked into the scheme. There's no way they schemed that up. There's no way that Sean McVay's hubris ended up biting him in the ass. Like, there's no way you could have schemed that defense up on me. Nah, bro, that other team, those guys were doing it to you all day, and they also figured you out in this situation. And that hubris is what ended up costing them. That, everything rhymes, right? We're talking about a different situation if they just give the damn ball to Marshawn Lynch, right? In a Super Bowl. Mm-hmm. And in this particular case, I'm wondering why Sean McVay decided, you know what, I'm going to keep throwing the ball. I'm going to keep throwing the ball in this goal line situation when everybody knew you were going to do it in a very tight window. Run the damn ball, man. And if you're not going to get the touchdown, then you kick the field goal because you had about 5 minutes left and your timeouts. Okay. Now, again, credit to Sam Darnold. They made key throws to keep plays to keep the drive alive. And then eventually the Rams did get the ball back with 30 seconds or whatever it is. But I still stand by what I said with the field goal. If you kick the field goal with 5 minutes to go and you get the ball back with 30 seconds, it completely changes the dynamic of what you need to do to get down the field. And all you got to do is kick another field goal to win that game. So I do think that the Seans, if we're kind of looking back on the Sunday that it was, the Seans, Sean Payton and Sean McVay, bought their own bullshit way too much and ended up costing both those teams. With all credit in the world going to the other teams who won, the Patriots and the Seahawks, for actually going out there and executing. Because, again, I can say all these things about what they did wrong, but hell, man, especially in the case of the Seahawks game, every time the Rams looked like they were getting back into it, the Seahawks had a fucking answer. And Sam Darnold had a freaking throw. And we were all waiting for Sam Darnold to turn into a pumpkin like we saw when he was in Minnesota. And he didn't do it. So, again, salute, man. Salute to both teams for getting here because the other teams gave them opportunities and they absolutely cashed them in.
Speaking of 10 years ago, the Broncos won the Super Bowl. We sometimes forget that the Broncos actually beat the Panthers in that Super Bowl because it was a season of the Panthers, really was. Cam Newton being the MVP, being the main storyline. The coach of the Broncos was Gary Kubiak. Mm-hmm. He was a first-year coach, so first year with his team. Mm-hmm. Mike Vrabel, first year with his team. Your dad, I had your dad over my shoulder looking up first-year coaches yesterday.
Yeah,
because my son Jackson was like, "Has a first-year coach been?" And I'm like, "Well, Vrabel's not really a first-year coach." I was like, "He's coached before, right?" So first year with a team. So Gary Kubiak, Broncos beats the Panthers, Super Bowl 50, Frisco. His son Clint, the OC now at Seattle, honest to God, thought he was the difference in the game last night in Seattle. The sequence at the end of the first half is where Seattle won the game. The muffed punt and the fucking Duke player. And thanks, JC, for texting me. Oh, that really sucks. You just lost your ticket on a Duke player. Like, thanks, JC. I didn't know. Like, I love how people don't think it's very serious to me to win $2,000. Like, oh, let me just fucking text you while you're losing $2,000. Cool. Unreal. So,
for the record, I never texted you anything about that.
So there's the Kubiaks. Ultimately, there's this show. You say kick the field goal. I get it, and I don't even think this was a Sean McVay. Like, I'm being a quant. I'm being analytical. I'm being all these things. I think he probably figured they could stop him, get the ball back, and score a touchdown. That's what he's probably thinking.
That's what he's thinking.
Here's the problem. Here's the problem with the third down play. It goes to Kanata Mumpfield. Mm-hmm. 0 catches, 0 yards. The money's on the table. The ball has to go to Puka Nacua or Devontae Adams. Has to.
Yeah.
The fourth down play was supposed to be to Nacua on the old Julian Edelman inside out curly cue. He got clogged up and couldn't get to the out route. So he ends up throwing it to the back of the end zone to Terrence Ferguson. You have to die with your fastball. You have to. It can't be Kanata Mumpfield and Terrence Ferguson. And
the only Kanata we respect is Nada Edwards. Yeah, it's the only one we respect.
You look at the other side of that, and remember the premise of my Rams ticket was they have the second receiver in Adams. Well, ultimately, when the final drive happens for Seattle, they need a first down. Cooper Kupp, Super Bowl MVP from 3 years ago, makes a controversial catch, but still makes the catch. They get a first down, and the rest is history. Now we get the revenge Super Bowl from Super Bowl 49. I really do want like a Pope Mobile where they bring Russell Wilson, Pete Carroll, and Darrell Bevel into that stadium and make them watch and just have it like a nightmare. Hey guys, remember when you called this play because you wanted Russell to be the face of your team instead of giving the ball to Marshawn Lynch and winning the game? You realize we have to listen to Tom Brady and all these Patriot hunks for the rest of time, right? They won on the single dumbest call in the history of professional sports, maybe even college sports. That's how bad the call was. And they get to sit there and put a banner up and celebrate it like they fucking did something. Okay? Seattle, please, I'm begging you. Also, speaking of Pope mobiles, make sure Jackson Smith and Jigba gets there. You want to talk about old scars? That Ohio State team with Marvin Harrison Jr. and Jackson Smith and Jigba and everybody else and their mother, I had a ticket on them. They let a Carolina kicker attempt something at the end of the game on New Year's, and I was like, well, we got fired that year, by the way. I knew we were fucked that year when that Ohio State team lost in the it was either the championship or the semifinal.
Unreal. You're very fired up about this. You're very fired up about this.
I did not love the periphery text. Like, come on, man. Let me process my loss in 2 times.
It's a twofold thing. It's a twofold thing. One, you got your futures ticket that lost, but also deep down, there's a Boston problem that you have. There's a Boston problem that you have.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. But it's also speaking of scars, it just brings back, and yes, I literally just had this with Mike McCreary, Scotty's dad, who is actually from New England. That's the reason Scotty is a Patriots fan. I don't hold that against them. But I said, you won 2 Super Bowls in part on one on the dumbest call in the history of sports, and one because Kyle Shanahan was like, yeah, we're up 28-3. Let me just keep passing the ball. No big. It's like, there's only one way to lose.
I mean, hell,
one way to lose.
You want to throw in a third one that allows Adam Vinatieri to have the easiest kick on the planet because the Panthers kicked the ball out of bounds.
Well, there's that.
Houston.
There's that. There's also the puck rule, which launched the entire dynasty.
Exactly. So you see where there's a lot to untangle here. There's a lot to untangle here.
In Patriots' defense, the catch on the helmet, Tyree, was one that kind of like Mike Krzyzewski had 99, and then they kind of gave it back to him in 10. They had one taken. I will admit that the team that should have been undefeated probably should have been undefeated, but. Yeah, man, there's a lot to it when it comes to the Patriots. It's just like, and this gets back to our ongoing and lifelong debate about fandom, right? Like, why can't the Patriots just sit in it? Like, why can't they just have to be the Belichick with Mac Jones, tripping over their own dick? Why do they get it back so quickly? Like, why can't it be the Bills? Why can't it be some other forlorn franchise? Why can't the Jets figure it out, right? It's like, no, it has to be the Patriots.
Hey, Sam Darnold's Jets made. Okay, they get some credit here. That's Jets made. I'll tell you 2 people who do have to sit in it, though. I'll tell you who those people are, the people who have to sit in it for the next couple of weeks in a second. But hey, Super Bowl 60, it's here in 2 weeks, and it deserves a sports book built for the moment. DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of Super Bowl 60, puts you right in the center of the biggest game of the year. And when anything can happen during the Super Bowl, DraftKings has your back with early exit. If a player goes down in the first half, you still get paid in cash immediately once your bet settles. No bonus bets, no waiting. So again, if a player goes down in the first half with early exit, you still get paid out in cash immediately once that bet settles. No bonus bets, no waiting. If you're new to DraftKings, new customers can bet just $5 and you'll get $300 in bonus bets if your bet wins. Promo code to use is OG25. Again, download the DraftKings Sportsbook app today. Use that promo code OG25 if you're a new customer. If the Super Bowl's got you intrigued about some of the things going on, by all means, now is the time to do it and take advantage of that code OG25. You can turn $5 into $300 in bonus bets if your bet wins. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 8778-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. Connecticut, call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino in Kansas, wager tax pass-through may apply in Illinois. 21 plus in most states, void in Ontario. Restrictions apply. Bet must win to receive bonus bets, which expire in 7 days. Minimum odds required. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/audio. Limited time offer. So the people that would probably have to sit in it over the next 2 weeks, one would be Bill Belichick, and the other would be Jerry Jones. Now, why are these two individuals required to sit in it? Well, shout out to Nick Bumgardner, who posted this on Blue Sky. Remember when Bill Belichick spent the entire year talking about how Drake Maye sucked? There was that. Remember when he got drafted? He was with McAfee, and he said, he fancies himself a Josh Allen. We'll see about that. Who got to the Super Bowl before Josh Allen? Why? That would be Drake Maye. And also, let's not forget that when he was criticizing the draft pick of Drake Maye, or saying that, I just don't necessarily see it, he wasn't the head coach of the Tar Heels yet. And then he ends up being the head coach of the Tar Heels, and we go through an entire petty process where the lifeblood of recruiting is to point out that guys who went to your school are doing well in the NFL. And that is a reason why you should come to our school. And man, did they post all sorts of social media about Omarion Hampton. Omarion Hampton was the guy, according to UNC's social media accounts, but we never saw anything about Drake Maye until he was shamed into allowing the social media account to finally say some stuff about Drake Maye. And we come to find out that he was being petty, and there was the whole thing about not having scouts from the New England Patriots be there. And that was a whole thing that in the course of a long, terrible debut season for Bill Belichick at UNC, we kind of lost into the memory of Ludacris being the highlight of the season, okay? But now we get 2 weeks of Drake Maye discourse. 2 weeks. And you know who's absolutely going to put the dagger in because of this? One Mac Brown. And Mac's already tweeted out, congrats to Drake Maye. Congrats to Drake Maye. My guy. Carolina guy. Giglio's bringing this up. There's the tweet. Congratulations on a great year, Drake, and good luck in the Super Bowl. So proud of you. And there he is, Mac at the sideline, giving a fist bump to Drake Maye coming off the field. Are we going to see any of this from Bill Belichick? Are we? Maybe?
As a connoisseur of petty, I know you appreciate Mac Brown having that tweet at the ready. Like, hey, that was even after he lost like 20 pounds. So, like, he looks good in that picture. So he's like, hey, can you find that one where I'm coming, I look good, and Drake's giving me a fist bump, and it's like, Not only does Bill have to sit in it because he, like anybody else in the media, gets old takes exposed, okay, and there's the little extra layer of the fact that he's still bitter about his exit with New England. Not only does he have to sit here and watch Drake Maye do this, while also having to smile through it and be like, oh, this is great for North Carolina, but you don't give a shit about North Carolina, so stop it. All right, just stop it. Number one. Number two, Tom Brady already went on and got his other Super Bowl with Tampa. Okay. Robert Kraft, if you watched the broadcast yesterday, and I'm sure Bill Belichick was watching this broadcast too, probably threw something at his television when they were assigning 11 Super Bowl appearances to one Robert Kraft. All right. As the owner of the New England Patriots, as an owner, he's been to 11 different Super Bowls. And for the longest time, it was this three-headed monster. It was the three of them that made that dynasty work. And I think we could all agree that's the case. You needed Tom Brady at that right time. You needed Bill Belichick at that right time. And Robert Kraft is one of the best owners in the NFL. So all these three things came together. And the Palace intrigue eventually fell apart, mostly because Robert Kraft was more Team Brady than he was Bill Belichick. All right. And now those two individuals have gone on to great success without Bill Belichick. Again, Tom won a Super Bowl in Tampa without Bill. And I'll give Tom Brady a lot of credit. He got better this season on the analyst side from his rookie season. So Tom's gotten better, right?
And also, Tom gets to basically rule the world. He gets to do whatever he wants. He's calling a game while salivating over a potential coach for his Raiders, right? In Kubiak. So all those things are going great for Tom. I think at one point he even dated Sydney Sweeney. So good for Tom. Tom's living his best life. Yeah, they were connected for like a hot minute there. I want to say when they went to Bezos's wedding in Italy, they were seeing what's the old gossip page phrase? Canoodling. They were canoodling. Anyway, meanwhile, Robert gets to I made some hard decisions. I had to move on from Bill. I made the right decisions with Mayo. I got my guy Vrabel. We've got this quarterback, and we're right back in it. Let's freaking go, right? And Bill's already been kind of erased from the whole dynasty thing because it's Robert Kraft who's the one that's crafting the story. And as we know, the winners get to write the history. And right now we're finding out that the winners in this case are one Tom Brady and one Robert Kraft. They're writing the story while Bill is punching air saying, how did this go bad so quickly for me? Right? Bad in the sense that, wow, they're really all leaving me behind and I'm now stuck in Chapel Hill with a job that I don't really want because I lost this game of chicken. Making matters worse is the fact that this is now 3 hiring cycles where Bill Belichick has only gotten one actual interview with the Atlanta Falcons. And the reason why he didn't get that job was because the Falcons got a little skittish on him wanting to bring guys like Mike Lombardi into the fold. We're in a world where Philip freaking Rivers got an interview with the Bills and Bill Belichick hasn't. So we get this from Mike Florio at ProFootballTalk.com, where he says, per a source with knowledge of the situation, the Bills are not interested in Bill Belichick. He goes on to say he's currently regarded as radioactive by most NFL teams looking for coaches. And he only has himself to blame thanks to a bizarre set of distractions that he created in North Carolina over the past year and his open hostility towards his longtime employer in New England. Any NFL owner who would be inclined to hire Belichick would have to assume that eventually some of that venom would be directed to their franchise, like his former team in New England. So clearly Bill Belichick, a big loser in this situation. And then the other loser in this situation would be one Jerry Jones.
Well, before you get to Jerry Jones, it had to kill Belichick to see Mike McCarthy get a third job at one of the Cadillac franchises in the NFL too, to boot, right? Like Mike McCarthy, the guy with one Super Bowl.
Yeah.
I mean, all of your other personality flaws aside, you got 6 of them in your back pocket, right? And Mike McCarthy gets a third chance, but you don't. And from a franchise that's used to hiring coaches for 25 years, that's clearly not going to be the case here. Like, they're not going to have Mike McCarthy for 25 years.
You know what? I'm proud of. I'm actually proud of the Steelers for doing that. Way to be like every other franchise. Also, it also crystallizes that the Steelers are just the Dallas Cowboys with more winning records. Now it's truly crystallized because you went and got Mike McCarthy.
What a bad hire. I feel bad for Brooke Pryor. Like,
I don't. She stays busy.
In 2 years, she gets to do it again in one of the rare Steeler coaching searches. She gets.
No, I'm with you on that. The fact that Mike McCarthy, if we're talking retread coaches,
he got a third chance.
He got a third chance. That's surprising. Well, Bill Belichick, again, I'll reiterate this. He's had one interview in 3 cycles. One. And then even then, Robert Kraft had to come in and say, hey, just so you know, this is what's going to happen. So, yeah, I believe what Mike Florio is reporting. And again, the other loser would be, speaking of the Cowboys, Jerry Jones. Jerry Jones is in the NFL Hall of Fame. Or I'm sorry, the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Robert Kraft is not. This is a classic sports talk radio. What would you rather have? Would you rather be in the Hall of Fame like Jerry Jones? Would you rather be Jerry Jones, that all the attention's on you? You're the big swinging dick behind the scenes and you get to you kind of help shape NFL policy. Your Legends Entertainment basically gets to double dip at all these NFL stadiums as you are the concessionaire for a lot of these places, right? So you're Jerry Jones. Everybody, you are the center of the universe. Meanwhile, Robert Kraft has all the respect in the world, multiple Super Bowl championships, and now got to another one with a completely different iteration of a team with a new quarterback and a new coach. Meanwhile, you're still out here talking about circumcising the mosquito. So that's the thing he actually said once. So honestly, Jerry Jones is probably watching this going, how does this guy keep getting away with this? What do I have to do? Why is he so blessed? He gets to gallivant with who he wants and nobody blinks an eye. And I have a fun time in the bus one time, and people won't let it go. So shout out to Jerry Jones, man. Just really hard out here for you, man. Really hard out here for you.
Housekeeping.
Big thanks to Enovana. You can check them out online at enovana.com.
If you have mess inside your mansion or trash in your cabana, get it clean, clean with Enovana.
Yeah, I'm looking outside right now, and I just see a bunch of sleet. And it's gonna be muddy. Your kids, or if you have kids, you're probably out there sledding, and what's classic Southern sledding. You're just going down grass that's got some ice on it. Classic Southern sledding, right? Shout out to the Flexible Flyer, and they're gonna track all that stuff in. You need a deep clean. You need our friends at Enovana. Did you go sledding yesterday, Joe?
No, my sledding career is over. Ended
on,
in 2013.
Come on, man.
Yes.
Super easy out there. I got on the Flexible Flyer yesterday.
Nope.
Got a couple runs in. Thought it was a good time. It was a good time. Anyway, big thanks to Enovana. Big thanks to Mikey P. He's got some new stuff over at the Secret Stash. Head on over to the OG.shop. There's a new hat that you might want to check out. Just a nice basic hat. But we got some new designs coming on down the way, including a Forever Grateful. Head on over to the OG.shop. Also, shout out to everybody who, including that Waffle House hoodie. Shout out to everybody who had some snow beers, and it happened to be OG Light. Like our guy Jared over at Two Roosters. He was enjoying some OG Light. And you know what's better than OG Light on a snow day? You know what's better than an airport beer? An airport OG Light. Yes, OG Light now available at RDU at the Bond Brothers location there in Terminal 2. So I think that's opening up either this week or next week. We'll be doing a show from the airport here relatively soon to mark the occasion. As I mentioned, Two Roosters, don't mess with snow cream. That's no. You want the good stuff. You want good ingredients. You want some thought put into this. You want actual flavor. You go to Two Roosters. So head on over to Two Roosters. I know it's cold outside. Don't matter. It's always the right time for Two Roosters. So again, check them out online at tworoosters.com. And of course, you got the Slavin Sunday as well. Speaking of which, we had a bet. Do you have the envelope? Yes or no? You have.
I do. Hang on.
All right, you go get it. I'll do the rest of these, and we'll come back for Two Roosters because you and I did have a Slavin Sunday bet. Hey, insurance. I know these are the type. If we can be serious for a moment, we had threat of ice power outages. I think we got lucky with the way that the temperature line and the moisture and all that kind of stuff broke. That we got more sleet than we got freezing rain. Again, that's a good thing. But if you find yourself in a situation sweating it, insurance handles these things. How much are you spending on your home and auto insurance, right? Matt Davis can help you out. So hit him up, insuregarner.com, 919-779-8277. And it goes beyond saving money on home and auto. You can also get financial planning, thinking ahead. You want to do an extension on the house. You're thinking about retirement, all those things, big money questions. Our guy, Matt Davis, can help you out with that as well. All you have to do is visit insuregarner.com. Again, that's insuregarner.com. Of course, our friends over at Longleaf Swine, you're probably going to be going stir crazy. Longleaf will be open here relatively soon. So get the heck out of the house and enjoy some Longleaf Swine. You can also get some OG Light while you're there. Of course, our friends at the Butcher's Market, you can check them out online at thebutchersmarkets.com. If you did the right thing, you went to the Butcher's Market last week, you loaded up on some really easy meals, maybe some key ingredients to, if you're bored in the house and you want to cook, they got everything that you need right there. And if you're looking to get the heck out of the house since you've been cooped up, hey, go to the Butcher's Market. They'll take care of you. Of course, our friends at Roback, I might have been wearing a big Roback fleece while I was out sledding yesterday. They got great stuff, including a last call sale right now. While we have our OG20 promo code that gets you 20% off your order, right now they've got 30% off, no code needed on clearance items. So it only happens once a year. Take advantage of it while the sizes still exist, okay? Like I found out the hard way. I was trying to get some large hoodies, gone. So if you haven't checked it out yet, check out the last call section and see what you can find. And of course, Gordon Miller Lending. I know he found peace and zen by watching the monks walk through Raleigh. I love that. The Walk for Peace or whatever it was called. It was a big turnout. Kind of bummed out because I went through Fayetteville Street. I saw the pictures through Fayetteville Street, man. There's a lot of people who turned out for the monks, man. That was really, really cool to see. So Gordon found some peace, some inner peace by watching the monks. He can also give you inner peace by not sweating closing costs, not sweating the interest rates, ups and downs. What do I do? Then I just lock myself in. What's an APR? No, find Zen, find inner peace with our friends at Miller Lending. Check them out online at millerlending.com or call them directly at 919-447-3377. And if you take that thing to close, guess what? You will get something from Roback. You will get something from the Butcher's Market. So, again, give them a call, 919-447-3377. All right, Joe, who's getting a Slave and Sunday? We had a Slave and Sunday bet.
I know I went over, so I'm going to lose. Let's first of all say, what do we get, an inch?
Something like that.
Let's say an inch.
Something like that. It's already melting over here in North Raleigh, so I think I won.
Answer was 4.
We went 4 inches.
Yeah, I thought we would get some snow.
That's bold, dude. We did get some snow. It was like very, very dry, granular snow.
Did you go Price is Right 0?
You know I did. I did. Price is 0 always is the move.
1/4 inch snow, 0 inches. Yeah, it's pretty close.
That's pretty close. Pretty close.
Pretty close.
0.
I almost went 0 for Price is Right rules, but then I was like, no, we're gonna get something.
Not the case.
No.
So, all right. Looking forward to getting my Slave and Sunday.
Our next trip to the arena together, you get a Slave and Sunday.
Cannot wait,
on me.
man. Cannot wait. All right, to ACC Hoops. It was an interesting Saturday. I had to go 3 screens wide, man. 3 screens on Saturday since everybody tipped off at noon. We had NC State over Pitt, Carolina with a crazy comeback over Virginia, and then Duke doing what Duke has done all year. A little bit of a slog for the first half, then Cam Boozer takes over and everything clicks and they go and they walk against the Demon Deacons. Let's actually start with the Tar Heels, Joe, because to me, Saturday was an inflection point for the Tar Heels. Saturday was an inflection point for the players and Hubert Davis. It's the reason why I had posted on social media after the first half that the Notre Dame game and reaction to Notre Dame's the win over Notre Dame earlier in the week was almost fool's gold. It's like, cool. That's a nice way to have an emphatic win over somebody that you're supposed to beat, but they're missing a key player. And they did not necessarily challenge you in the way that the teams who have been beating you would challenge you. I'm talking about dynamic players like Boopy Miller, lighten it up against you. Quicker guards that are able to get loose and knock down some threes. And Virginia would be more of a tell. And sure enough, in that first half, all the things that were big red flags for the Tar Heels were coming to fruition, right? Virginia was doing what Virginia's been doing most of the year. They were taking advantage of their big men. They were hitting threes, and North Carolina was just kind of like discombobulated. But as the first half began to end, and Carolina hit a couple of threes to get back into that game, and as we're coming to find out through reporting of the likes of Andrew Jones over at Tar Heel 24/7 or Shelby Swanson over at the News and Observer, Hubert Davis did the right thing and kind of getting out of the way and saying, hey, man, I've tried to coach you guys up. I've tried to, essentially it's been about effort and all that kind of stuff. If you want this, you got to go out there and do it. And there was a lot of talking from the players. They came out, continued to be fired up, and they methodically came back and won that game in Charlottesville. I'm not saying that saves the season, but you can easily look at that as an inflection point of where the season was going to go after that West Coast trip, and a lot of questions about Hubert Davis, a lot of questions about Caleb Wilson. Why is he not getting the ball? A lot of those questions were answered on Saturday.
Yeah, Caleb Wilson closes the game out, has the ball in his hands. That's important. Step number 1. Let me disagree with you about the value of Notre Dame, though, because the more games they have Derek Dixon as their starting point guard, the more that they have Bogovats and Jaron Stevenson coming off the bench, the more they understand their roles.
Yeah.
So the more games you play like that, the better you're going to be as a team.
That's fair.
Again, I don't think Carolina is going to hit a magic switch and take a magic carpet ride to the Final Four like they did in 2022. I don't. But if we learned anything from that season, it is you can't be the team you think you can be until you have the right pieces on the floor and the players in the roles that in the right roles. And I think Dixon is their point guard. The games now that he's played, he's looked good.
Hey, look, to
11
Hubert's
points.
credit, he stuck with Dixon building up to that point in the game that you saw on Saturday. So I see what you're saying in the value of the Notre Dame game, because all you're really doing is giving Dixon more opportunities to take that job over, which he's done.
But so I think two other things that are important. Obviously, you have an off game from Vesser, which, given Virginia's size, that was probably going to happen.
Yeah,
that's a credit to Virginia. But I think the way you offset that, a better game from Seth Trimble, who had 16 points in this game, then that second unit, this idea of a second unit, and the idea of Bogovats and Stevenson coming off the bench. Again, guys who began the year either both as starters at the same time or, taking different roles, different spots. That's the kind of production you need out of them. The only thing missing in this game was Kyan Evans. And again, he's in a little bit of a Freddie Anderson situation right now, where you're not throwing Kyan Evans away. You're just changing his role and saying, here's what I need from you. He was 0 for 3 from the 3-point line. So a slow start for Carolina. They make a comeback. They win the game. Caleb Wilson, nominally your hero, makes the play in the final minute.
Yeah,
that wins the game for them. But I think ultimately, the more games they play with this lineup, the better they're going to be. They're going to find their form. I know people are down on the Kentucky win, but you still went to Kentucky and won. It still ultimately will help you. The Kansas win. Now, this further bolsters their resume with another Q1 win.
Mm-hmm. For North Carolina, after this, they've got games against Georgia Tech and Syracuse. So they get the rest of the week off. They'll see Georgia Tech on Saturday. Then they have that quick Saturday, Monday turnaround. Like Duke's got a Saturday, Monday turnaround against Louisville tonight. Based on everything, in fact, I actually saw Duke's social media accounts point this out. That game is on as scheduled. And they also added that if you can't make the game because you're uncomfortable trying to get out there, I know there's going to be some refreezing tonight. I think they had you can turn your tickets in for a gift in kind or something in kind, as they put it. And then speaking of Duke, after Georgia Tech and Syracuse, Saturday, February 7th is when they get that game against Carolina. Now, Duke, do you have anything else about Carolina? Okay. With Duke, it's interesting. Shire, I will admit that I spent more time focused on the Carolina and NC State games and the three screen setup, because once Duke got rolling, it's like, I've seen this before, right? Like I've seen this out of Duke already. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I'm just saying like, all right, cool. They're having a very Duke game here. And one thing that Shire, I'm paraphrasing here, but the one thing that I thought Shire said after the game was interesting is the repetitive nature of what works and not getting necessarily bored with it, which I thought was interesting. And I don't know if that was a message to players or if it was a message to fans or if it was a message to both and how they've kind of gotten here. I think Duke just kind of like we know what they are. It then becomes what is the matchup going to be? Have they had a little bracket luck this year in terms of games that they've played with some key players missing? Yeah, we've talked about that. I mean, again, same thing that we talked about with the Patriots. Just because you've got some guys that are missing doesn't mean you can't, stumble over that and somebody gets hot or whatever it is. So Duke is taking care of business against the teams they're supposed to take care of business against, and they've also taken advantage of some key players missing, like Louisville, right? Which, of course, that changes tonight because guess who's back in the lineup, Joe? Finally, after what felt like this guy was never coming back into the lineup, Mikel Brown is finally back in the lineup, and that changes some things going into tonight's game with Louisville, which is, all things considered, one of the better teams in the ACC. Part of the reason why the ACC, when we talked to Patrick Stevens last week, could have upwards of 10 teams in the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, it'd be an interesting test for Duke. They just played Louisville, so run it back games were obviously Mike Krzyzewski's specialty, and that's part of your legacy, right? Roy, Dean, Kay, they all in the round robin era knew how to get you the second time they saw you. So we'll see what John has cooked up. Different look from Louisville with Mikel Brown in the lineup. It's funny. Louisville had a magic carpet ride last year, and they went 18-2 in the league in Pat Kelsey's first year. They started 2-3 in the league this year because college basketball is a year-to-year proposition. Brown comes back against Virginia Tech. They win. They're now 4-3 in the league, but do you really think Louisville is going to come into Cameron and win on Monday? The only thing I would say Louisville are the red jerseys, and they're 0-6 against Shire. So they're the ones bringing the red jersey number down.
Yeah, so I don't see that. I do not see that happening. Yeah, just like I don't see Louisville going to Cameron Indoor tonight and winning that game. Meanwhile, the Wolfpack overcame a sluggish start, and I thought we were going to be back into Georgia Tech angry protocol, but they settled down and they ended up grinding out a win against Pitt on the road. So this continues the pattern for the Wolfpack where on the road, hey, they're finding ways to win, man. But at home, they haven't been able to stay consistent. And I guess that's the next trick for Will Wade and this group. It's something that he said after the win at Clemson that I thought was interesting in that it's like, hey, man, I'm just trying to get consistency on this thing. So they're back home against Syracuse on Tuesday night before then going on the road again to Wake Forest and SMU. So I almost feel like the true litmus test for the Wolfpack and Will Wade is, hey, man, another great road win. You won a game you were supposed to in this case, right? So not only did you knock off Clemson and put something in your back pocket, you won like an actual consequential game of note in a Q1 opportunity on the road that's going to stay a Q1 opportunity. This is not one of these weird games that comes up and down and in and out like a Boise or a VCU. Like that's a legit win that's going to stick with you the rest of the way, kind of like what you're referencing with North Carolina and Virginia. That is a good key win on the road that's going to stick with you the rest of the way. All right, cool. Now the next trick is to find that consistency at home and not do anything dumb like lose to Syracuse at Lenovo on Tuesday.
Well, shame on us. We have not hit the hot button topics of Wolfpack fandom this week, which is a conversation that we've had, I don't know, for the last 20 years about their logos.
Oh, that'll come up
to wear.
That'll come up in Hey Joe.
That'll
come up in Hey Joe. We got a couple phone calls about that. We'll do that in Hey Joe.
Okay,
yes, well, it's not lost on me. It will come up just in the appropriate time.
We're failing you as an NC State podcast. Clearly.
You know us, an NC State podcast and all.
My bad. NC State continues to play the weirdest ACC schedule I've ever seen, and I'm probably never going to wrap my brain around it. They play Syracuse next. It's like Clemson. Cool. I like it that they play Clemson, of course. But now you get Syracuse, and then there's the run-it-back game against Wake, and then SMU, VT, Louisville, Miami. It's like, can we play some ACC games? We have the Virginia game. Like, I know. I'm stuck in my ways when it comes to
it's the new ACC, Joe. It's the
I know,
ACC.
but
this is what it is now.
It's hard to figure out who they are, right? Because you have the stumble against Georgia Tech. You don't mind them losing to Virginia. Virginia's a good team. Now, the way that they played and started in that game, you do mind. But, there's a pattern, obviously, to the way that they're playing. When they defend, they win. When they don't defend, they don't win. I don't see Syracuse coming in here and beating them for any other reason other than Kadir Copeland should have a marker with the orange. His eyes should light up when he sees his old team, maybe. A hockey style, right? Mm-hmm. Alex Nedeljkovic coming back to the building or whatever we got. I don't know. I'm just kind of waiting for it. Almost feels like a hurry up and wait for the games that we want to see. Louisville, Carolina, running it back against Virginia, and then obviously Duke. But Penn State hold serve at home. Can they win a game at home other than the Wake game? It is our note of interest here, but they're playing better. Speaking of knowing your roles and understanding what you are, always love it when Matt Abel is able to contribute. I feel like he really is the only potential pro on that roster. You'll want to see more consistency out of him, but he's a freshman, so we'll see what they can cook up when Syracuse gets here on Tuesday.
It's interesting you mentioned the freshman. The only other thing that I kind of took away from the college basketball weekend, and it ties into, we didn't get too deep into the Nate Oates and who was the other? Was it Baylor who brought a guy into an old G League guy, right? And I've read a couple of things. Eamon Brennan, who does stuff at Basket and Review, he's got his own newsletter, and it was titled like Nate Oates doesn't actually care about college basketball, I believe was the overall premise that he had. And the idea that you would bring G League guys back to college is just further eroding, the things that people like about college basketball. What's interesting to me, and maybe I'm reading too much into this, but I get the headlines and I get the existential conversations about college basketball because college basketball is a thing that is always needing to be fixed, right? I mean, how many times has Mike Krzyzewski gone on a microphone in whether in a head coach capability, when he was at Duke, or now in his whatever the role he has now is, right? He's just, basketball observer who happens to be a Hall of Famer who coached Duke, right? Where he always talks about having actual leadership with college basketball, needing a commissioner and all those kinds of things that I don't disagree with, right? It's just that we find time and time again that the absence of leadership really is those in charge wanting to force a situation where Congress comes in and fix their problems for them, right? Again, these are all deeper conversations. The one thing, though, that I haven't really seen people discuss, and we have to have an honest conversation with, is what are these G Leaguers really bringing to the table? How much of this is coaches overthinking the situations and kind of going, well, if I can just get this one guy, maybe he can help me out. I'm going to do everything necessary to help me win basketball games. When the true difference makers, especially this season, are what, Joe? Freshmen, right? You're sitting here talking about Matt Abel with NC State, and that's on a much smaller, not national scale. But I think we all recognize that if NC State's going to actually turn this season into something, Matt Abel has to continue to being a good freshman, right? Like, he has to be a key part of what they're doing. He has to be able to hit shots, which is something that is, a day-to-day. You talk about year-to-year proposition in college basketball. It's a day-to-day for NC State, whether or not their offense is going to be locked in or not. But Abel is part of unlocking it, okay? But Cam Boozer had, 32 points in their win against Wake Forest. Caleb Wilson, as we've been discussing a whole bunch this season, he has to have the ball in his hands. It's imperative that the guards make the right decisions to get the ball in Caleb's hands and utilize him to get over, which, again, we saw in the win against Virginia. And then A.J. DeBansta. What do you do? 43 points this weekend? 43, right? So the real story before it got derailed by this kind of ancillary BS with G League players has been the freshmen. This has always been a freshman-led college basketball season. These were guys to get excited about, to bring you in to watch. And I don't think that changes just because you've had a couple of coaches take advantage of the lack of rules that currently exist right now for things like G Leaguers. All I'm saying is I feel like it's wasted energy to be so wrapped up in some teams bringing in G League players that I don't feel will have any impact whatsoever. Because if they were true impact players, well, they wouldn't be coming back to college. If they were true impact players, they would be bouncing back and forth between the G League and the NBA, or they would just straight up be in the NBA. They would have been drafted, right? Cam Boozer's going to get drafted. Caleb Wilson's going to get drafted. A.J. DeBansa is going to get drafted. So I feel like let's stop getting distracted by this kind of stuff and get back to the focus of what this college basketball season has truly been about. Freshmen who are difference makers. We saw it with A.J. We saw it with Cam Boozer. We've seen it with Caleb Wilson. And in fits and spurts, we've been so focused on Darion Williams. Well, Matt Abel might be that guy that truly gets NC State over. I get it. It's a big shiny object. We don't know what's going on. It gets the people going because everybody has an opinion on these types of like the mechanics of the portal and who belongs and who doesn't. But let's get back to what really actually matters so far this college basketball season, and ultimately the team that's going to win the championship in the NCAA tournament. It's not going to be because they added some G Leaguer. It's because they've got some superstar freshmen, or it's going to be a veteran-laden team that's been playing college basketball for a long time. That'll ultimately be your champion. Let's not overcomplicate this, man.
I think what people are lamenting is the continued professionalization of college basketball. It's not that you're signing a G Leaguer at the beginning of the year or the equivalent of European professional Luka Bogabats, for example. It's that you're adding them almost like a trade deadline type of deal in the middle of the season. That feels very professional. You and I have, from every coach we've ever covered, from Butch Davis to Chuck Amato to Dave Doran to any of them, have always lamented. How many times have you been in a press conference or in a scrum and a coach said, well, it's not like I could just pick somebody up on the waiver wire.
Right.
Well,
you can, but let's be clear. Let's be clear about who they'd like to pick up on the waiver wire. Like if it's Duke, like, man, I'd really love to have
Duke
Jason
added a
Tatum
player
back.
too. Duke added a player too.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't like it. I don't like the midseason stuff. It's been it's like the last bastion of college sports.
Mhm.
You can't jump in the middle of the season, right? Now you still technically can't do that because they're not enrolled at another school and now switching midstream. But that's about the only thing that's left in college sports that you can't do, right? So that's what this is. And it's also a dead period in college basketball. Let's be honest. You and I have had this conversation many, many, many times before. We mainline college basketball here in the Triangle. Everywhere else nationally, it's a passing interest. And so when something like this happens that you can claim as a trend, well, it gives you something to talk about to distract you, like you said, for a couple of days here and there.
Big thanks to our friends at Whitaker and Hamer. Check them out online at wh.lawyer. Again, that's wh.lawyer, attorneys and counselors at law. I'm guessing Josh is also kind of upset about the fact that Drake Maye is in the Super Bowl before Josh Allen. That Sam Darnold's in the Super Bowl before Josh Allen. Lo siento, man. Lo siento. In the meantime, you got contracts. You've got some policies you want to update. You want to make sure that everything is straight line, I's dotted, T's crossed, all that kind of stuff. Whitaker and Hamer can help you out. So check that out. wh.lawyer. Again, that's wh.lawyer. They can even do something as simple as doing a closing for your house. Let's say you sold your house, you bought a house. You used our friends at Hometown Realty. Put it all together. Our friends at My Hometown Realty, My HTR, can help you out. You've probably spent a lot of time in the house because of the winter weather. And you're probably looking at all the flaws and you're like, oh my goodness, like we can't live here anymore. It's time we gotta move, right? Just go to myhtr.com. Also, hometownhero.com. Joe, what do we got with Hometown Realty and the Hometown Hero program?
At their 5 different locations, there's 2 in Clayton, of course. We're only counting 5 here. They're taking nominations for your hometown hero, someone who makes a difference in your community, has made a difference maybe in your business dealings in your community. It's easy enough. Go to hometownhero.com, nominate your hometown hero. They'll have a monthly drawing for winners at each of those locations, and then they'll have a grand prize winner at the end of the year because this is their 25th anniversary of serving Eastern North Carolina. So check them out. It's hometownhero.com to learn more about that promotion.
Also, big thanks to our friends at Blooming Blinds. Look, I'm sitting here talking about like, we're going to move. We're going to get a new house. Hey, maybe let's not be dramatic. Maybe you just need new shades. Maybe you need blinds. Maybe you've got this awesome outdoor area that you don't use as much because once the sun starts to change and it's spring and the summer and the sun's hitting you in the face, there's a couple restaurants you and I both know could probably use some of that stuff in their windows, right? You're sitting there on your back deck, Joe. I'm sure there are times you're like, I'd hang out here more often, but the sun's in my face. Well, Blooming Blinds can take care of those types of things. So go ahead and hit them up today. 919-980-9815. BlumenBlinds.com. That's Blumen, blinds.com. Speaking of your outside, there's no mosquito activity in Giglio's backyard right now. It's kind of cold for that. However, it's not going to stay like this forever. It's going to warm up again. Mosquitoes are going to get active. Take care of it. Mosquito Authority, Pest Authority. You can bundle and save. You can start thinking about your mosquito treatments now. You can even do some additions to like Giglio's back deck. You can put misting systems to keep the bugs away. But also with Pest Authority, you can take care of the inside of your house, right down to things like moisture barriers, which are very, very key for the foundation of your house. So check them out online at bugsbite.com. Again, that's bugsbite.com. And of course, our guy, Chris Brassfield Accounting in Homer, Alaska. He's probably laughing at us right now. Looking at all this winter weather and snow and it being cold. And oh my goodness, it's going to get down to 18 degrees. I'm sure Chris is like, yeah, and what's your point? I don't understand. This might be why Brassfield never goes outside and he's working on your paperwork all the time. Why go outside? It's too cold. I might as well stay inside and handle all these things. And they are now doing taxes. Okay. So go to brassfieldaccounting.com. Again, that's brassfieldaccounting.com. And Joe, while he doesn't normally do personal taxes, do we have like a special OG offer?
We do. So shouts to Jack in Greenville, who reached out to Chris and Brassfield Accounting at brassfieldaccounting.com Jack is the one who had him do his taxes. And all you got to do is tell them that you're with the OG and they'll handle. They mostly focus on your business taxes. And then, of course, you got to do your personal taxes. So they'll tie your business and personal taxes as a package. But if you tell them with your OG, they'll handle your taxes at brassfieldaccounting.com. And shouts to Jack because he uses State Farm and Matt Davis because of the OG as well. And again, if you're like Jack and you use one of our tremendous sponsors and you let them know you're from the OG, swag is headed your way. So I got to send Jack some swag for taking care of us as a double corporate champion.
I love that. I love that. And of course, no guests on today's program, but every time we do have guests, it's brought to you by our friends at Heister Automotive Group. Go check them out in Lillington. And I don't know, you might be thinking to yourself, you know what? I finally have my excuse to get a 4x4. It's finally time to get a truck. I got to navigate these streets. I know they got you at Heister.
Is it going to make you dizzy if I do this?
No, it won't make me dizzy. What do
you
you
want me to walk
going
with the computer, or do you want me to turn it off and come back when I'm in front of the car?
So, did you get a new car?
I got big news.
You got a new car?
I did.
Oh, you walk with the computer. Might as well do it.
Okay.
Not going to make me dizzy.
I'll get dizzy.
You'll get dizzy? Okay.
Yes.
All right. We were getting a tour of the Giglio household as he's been doing the show outside.
Here, I'll show you Bon Jovi from our friends at Color Graphic.
Oh, that's right. Because you got that's right. It replaced the Super Bowl poster, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Good call. Good call. It's time to be an adult, Joe. It's time to leave it's time to leave the college dorm things behind and put some actual adult artwork there, like Bon Jovi.
All right.
Which is fantastic stuff. I wonder what it's like to have a garage. I don't have a garage. Oh, is that an Equinox? Equinox?
Yes.
Ooh, fancy from Heister Automotive Group. Now, whose car is that? Whose car is that?
Not mine.
Is that how it always works? Got a new car. It ain't for me, though.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's a
2026.
I have
all-wheel drive.
I have driven Equinox because I had one for a rental not that long ago.
Go this way.
And I got to admit, it kind of sold me on some of the features. And I was like, ooh, this is actually kind of nice. All-wheel drive. I like it, Joe.
Here's our friends.
I like it.
More important.
Heister Automotive Group. Hey, that's why Caleb Civic, we drive around. He's got the little Heister frame around his license because he got off his keister. Well, I got off my keister. Right. I went on down to Heister, and then he ends up with that car. I love to see it. All right, let's get out of here. Oh, you changed your location and everything. I like what you did there.
Oh, actually, let me go close the door so Bon Jovi doesn't escape.
Good call. Good call on that one. Close garage door on that one. All right, let's get out of here with some Hey Joe. A lot of you have opinions on some of our takes with Drake Maye and the Patriots and things like that. We got a couple of texts to the OG sports phone. One of them is from a 910, and it reads, how many Super Bowls did Rivers go to? Did Philip Rivers go to? I guess that's in relation to your take, Joe, that Drake Maye is going to be UNC's Philip Rivers.
Yeah. Hey, man, he's definitely been to more now. Hasn't won it yet, though. Might not win one either. Because he's the youngest quarterback to be in the Super Bowl since, right?
No, I don't.
Hernando can tell you.
Oh, was it Marino?
Yep.
Oh, geez.
Remember all those Super Bowls Dan Marino won?
Yeah, that one that he
Dan
went
Marino
to.
Was a terrible quarterback, right? Like,
the one that he went to and lost. Yeah, there's that one. Also, plenty of people sending us this screen grab of Robert Griffin III with no quarterback has ever beaten 3 top 5 defenses to get to the Super Bowl until Drake Maye. But of course, we're not going to give.
The second other young quarterback to do it was Ben Roethlisberger. And much like Ben Roethlisberger's first, Drake May had 86 yards passing in this game, had however many turnovers against the Texans. Look, he's just been ordinary in the playoffs, and that's fine.
That's fine. Sometimes that's all you need to be.
That's all you need. Sometimes, but his chance will be in the Super Bowl, because you know why? No one will be freezing their dick off. There won't be rain. There won't be bullshit. They'll play on a normal field, assuming the trays have been fixed famously on that field, going back to Super Bowl 50. And he'll get a chance to then beat a real defense that's at its full strength and all those other good things. These are all good things, man. Like, people are so confused. I really wish, please don't make me do work, make Rusty Helser do work and go find our reaction to Drake May against Florida A&M.
No, it doesn't. That stuff doesn't
Please
matter.
don't make Rusty go back to the time where we had Jonathan Jones from CBS, a Tar Heel. And I said, who's the best quarterback? When will people realize Drake May is the best quarterback in this class? And he said, never. And I was like, are you sure?
Well, it's all part of the script, though.
It is.
Let's go back to this go back to September 4th, 2025. Quick context here. People are convinced that the Super Bowl colors and the theming all lead to what the script is, like giving away who the Super Bowl participants will be. I always think it's been a little bit of a stretch, because you can find all sorts of gradients in the context of a Super Bowl logo and whatnot. But this one, I don't know, man. It's giving me pause. So, all right, I'll describe this for those who are listening on audio only. Typically, what the NFL does at the beginning of the season is they put out this graphic that features all the key players, all the name players, the players that you know you'll be hearing about throughout the season. So that's why you get Saquon Barkley as like the big, they just won the Super Bowl, so the Eagles are there front and center. Joe Burrow, Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, like all these guys that you typically understand and but all of a sudden, if you zoom in and you go to the front of the line, staring at Levi's Stadium, I see Sam Darnold and Drake May.
Unbelievable. The accuracy.
Maybe the script is real. All right, let's go back to the OG Sports phone, shall we?
919-444-2211. Call the OG Sports phone and curse or don't.
All right, let's go to 1828.
Hi, guys. Calling after what happened in Charlottesville today, and I just have to say I'm quite glad for Ryan Odom continuing the tradition that his dad established at Wake of blowing double-digit leads against UNC, because that's really the only explanation I have for what happened today. I mean, I guess Jaron Stevenson played well, but I feel like there were stronger forces at play beyond Jaron. So just wanted to pass that along.
Old ACC takes never die. I love that. All right, let's go back to social media. This is from Old State Boy. Hey, Giglio, Ovies, I know it was a sloppy win, but is the Will Wade bed still available? I'm asking for a friend.
We're fucking on the Will Wade bed tonight.
Hey, man, sometimes you just got to get it in. And if that was your excuse to get it in, you got it in.
He used the iconic scene from Miami Vice, the first episode, that uses the Phil Collins song "In the Air" tonight. So well done.
Well done. Very, very well done. From Bennett on Blue Sky. Will this guy spend 2 weeks saying he never lost to Drake May? And it's a picture of Dave Dorn.
I mean, he should.
Hey, look. This is old hat for Dave Dorn at this point, because remember when Lamar Jackson truly arrived in the NFL. Never forget that they spent a good chunk of time at one point going back to, hey, what is the key to stopping Lamar? Well, there was one guy who did at Carter Finley Stadium under a blood moon or a wolf moon or whatever it was. It was Dave Dorn, who basically dared Lamar Jackson. Fine, beat us with your arm. Ended up working out that way. NC State got that win. So I don't know. Maybe they do. I think what Dave could never say this out loud. He goes, look, man, the key to beating Drake Maye in the Super Bowl is that you need the other coach to not have their team prepared for a big game. That's what you need.
Good call.
Like you need Mike McDonald to just treat this game like any other game, right? Not the Super Bowl. Just treat it like any other game. No big deal. We actually got over on our rival in the first game. We're good. We took care of business against the Rams. That was our rival.
The real rival. Yeah.
I got emotional over that win.
Yeah.
I cried after that win. The Super Bowl, no big deal.
You know what you need Mike McDonald to do, Joe?
What's that?
I can't forget.
Yeah,
Finley.
man, imagine if Rand was on the ball and actually followed through on things we asked him to do.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
That would be nice.
Okay. You do a song for us for the Super Bowl. Anyway, here's for our 336.
Oh, gee, this is longtime listener Logan. I'm sitting here by a fire, drinking some OG Light and smoking a little bit of Oregon flower that my buddy got me, but that's not the point of why I called you. Calling in, Triangle is 3-0 on noon games, pre-snow ice apocalypse. That being said, everyone be safe out there, including you guys. Who knows what we're going to get, but watching NC State in particular, first of all, I'll grant some concession here, which you don't get a lot of on the show. UNC with the comeback over Virginia. That's fucking impressive. So kudos to you, Holes. Duke, I'm not, they beat Wake. Poor old Wake. But anyway, with NC State, damn, it was looking like another shit Saturday show. But they came back, rallied at the very end. I do not like NC State in noon games. It's always a trap. But now that they figured it out, they beat Pitt today. They're 4-0 on the road for the first time, and I'm not high yet. They're 4-0 for the first time on the road since 1974. That was the national championship year.
Oh man!
Of course, I wasn't alive then. I'll just go back to listening to my Fish and Widespread Panic and Goose and String Cheese. Take care, guys. Take care, everyone else. Don't freeze. Don't die. Good night.
Yeah, you need to be high as fuck to enjoy String Cheese. I'm saying. Like, okay, I get it. I get Fish. I get the jam bands. I get Widespread. Heck, I even get Goose, Geese, whichever one that we're talking about these days. Because there's two. There's Goose and Geese.
No,
right?
There's not.
Yeah, there's Goose and Geese. I want to say Goose was on Saturday Night Live. Geese is the jam band, if I remember correctly. Either way, I've listened to both. They're not that bad. But String Cheese, you got to be baked. Completely baked for String Cheese. All right, let's go to a 919.
What up, Joe Squares? Just another road conference game. Another road conference game win. I mean, what? There's no stopping it. There's no stopping the road train. Man, our rebounding wasn't spectacular, but we kept fighting. It's all you can hope for. So let's try to get out of town before the snow hits and enjoy this win until Q's rolls in. See you, boys.
I gotta say,
Steve was there.
Steve
was there.
Steve and Chung were getting prime television opportunities because there were a couple of key threes there that turned the game for NC State, right? And I think it was Chung that was just like, yeah, like just losing it on the camera. And I'm just thinking to myself, you guys are effing sickos. Going up to Pitt, there's nobody there. When I saw them and Goodson at BC, true sicko behaviors. Please go home and be family men. Go home and be family men. Come on now. Let's go to a 503.
I am over, first of all, 503 ending 828, but I am over the Darian Williams experience. This guy, is he on the take? Seriously, what value is this guy providing? terrible. We were counting on him to be DJ Burns 2.0, and he is not that. He is at best invisible, at worst a liability. I just can't take it anymore. God, if he were what he was advertised to be, we would be a dangerous team. Damn it. Out.
Fired up about Darion Williams, man.
But it's a good sign that they won, right?
Right.
Maybe? I don't know.
I think with Darion, I think it just kind of is what it is at this point. I still stand by what I said in the game against Clemson in that he remained aggressive despite the fact that he wasn't knocking down buckets. If they stay aggressive and they play defense,
stay engaged. Yeah.
And stay engaged, then I like their chances more often than not. All right, let's go to 704.
All right, Joe. So this whole retro uniform Slobbering Wolf thing's picking up on Twitter. I mean, it needs to change. I don't know. No one fucking likes the font of the basketball jerseys. It doesn't look good. And I don't know if it's just the marketing department, if it's Adidas, who it is. But, I mean, I think everyone agrees that the straight up state retro 1984 jerseys look way better. The Slobbering Wolf logo is really cool. It gets put on merchandise all the time. I want to know who's responsible. I want to know why we don't put the Slobbering Wolf and just state on both our basketball and football uniforms. Everyone would like it more. The players seem to like it. I don't understand. We need to fix this. It has to be changed. Thanks, guys.
Okay. Quick context. I guess on Thursday, during the Will Wade radio show, which you can go participate and hang out at the Pit in downtown Raleigh on Thursdays, thanks to our friends at Empire Properties. I know in the mailbag we focused on the question about, like, you know, why are state fans so freaked out that Will Wade might leave after the season or like go back to LSU or something like that. We addressed that in the mailbag. In this particular case, he talked about how he got a nasty letter, an angry letter from the university because he wore the Slobbering Wolf logo, which is different than the Tuffy head logo, on a jacket. That was the first game of the season he wore that, right? Was that the case?
No, if I'm understanding it correctly, he got a letter for wearing the state throwbacks in the opener. They wore the white, just plain state 83 throwbacks.
Okay.
And then they won't let him wear the Slobbering Wolf on his quarter zip.
Okay.
So this, of course, ignited the age-old debate about logos and what they do, what they don't do, why they use them, why they don't use them. I'll be the first person to tell you I don't like Chris Boyer, who works in for the university, one of Debbie Yau's former associate athletic directors, and he's typically in charge of these things and behind these decisions. I was told he was not behind this one.
Yeah,
though.
I was gonna say this doesn't sound like this sounds like an Adidas thing more than anything else.
No,
it's not an Adidas thing.
No.
Okay, then where's this? Well, I got a hot take, but explain.
Yeah.
I don't.
To the best of my understanding, this goes back to the Block S logo. Okay, this is like to give you a little bit of a longer story about this. And there would literally, like, let's use Nyheim Hines for an example.
Yeah.
Keep in mind, this is at a time where it's only NC State and Syracuse in the ACC. So Naheem's at the airport. He has his Block S on, and people are like, "Oh, what school do you go to? Do you go to Syracuse?" He's like, "No." Oh, do you go to Stanford? No. And so it's like, okay, you have a logo that is easily confused, in part because you haven't had success as a university.
Mm-hmm.
Start there, okay? Because it's very similar to Stanford, very similar to Syracuse.
Yeah,
I get that. The second part of this is go back to Nevada, is Wolf space pack, because NC State had the foresight to put a copyright on Wolfpack, one word.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why there's only one Wolfpack. And they even fought a Division III school about 10 years ago, 15 years ago, saying, no, you can't be the Wolfpack. We're the
Yeah.
only ones who could be the Wolfpack.
It was a green and yellow school too. Like they didn't
Yeah.
have any.
There
There
would be
would
no
be no confusion whatsoever. But they were very, very protective of Wolfpack.
So one of Debbie's top associate athletic directors, I'm probably using the wrong terminology, but Fred Demarest was part of strategic communications. And Fred, at the time, was one of the primary voices that said behind the scenes, hey, this Block S is being confused for other logos. We have a very unique nickname and a very unique logo in Tuffy.
Mhm.
So let's lean into the Tuffy head. And remember, this was like the 2017, right around Naheem again, football season, where they were ranked in the top 20, top 15. They are in the college football playoff rankings. They're playing Notre Dame and Clemson in games that are of note.
Mhm.
And at that time, Dave really liked the Tuffy head, embraced it, put it on in a helmet because they had a winning streak, a home winning streak with Tuffy head. And so that's how Tuffy kind of got to where it was. Elliot Avent, who went to NC State in the 70s and liked the Slobbering Wolf logo, has always kind of liked to put the Slobbering Wolf logo on NC State baseball merch. Elliot doesn't really get along with his bosses.
What? No. There's a reason. There's a reason why we get along with Elliot.
Yeah. So and this is now to be fair, this is two different sets of bosses.
No,
This is
I
the
understand.
university level.
I understand.
This is
I
also the
understand.
athletic department level. This was Debbie and Boo, of course. And so they've kind of tried to tamp down the Slobbering Wolf, A, because it's Elliot, and B, because they did make a focused effort to say, here's our identity. It's the Tuffy head. We're using the Tuffy head. This now naturally leads us to the conversation of, well, guys, Joe, or guys or girls or whoever, how can Oregon have 78 different logos and no one ever gets confused about who Oregon is? To my retort would be, you're right.
Mhm.
I would love to see once a football season or once every other football season the diamond logo, which we saw in 2016. I would like to see the Slobbering Wolf once a season, which they did use either in 18 or 19. Dave did get it on a helmet. Dave was able to do it and get it on a helmet. And then, of course, you have your standard look. I didn't have a problem with this Tuffy head and the uniforms. One quick word about the uniforms, because obviously I know people at Adidas. The uniforms take 2 years. So you have an idea. Then this is how it works for football. This is how it works for basketball. You have an idea. You want it made. It takes a year to make it. It then takes a year to get approved and put into the rotation. So that Tuffy head was approved 2 years ago.
Yes.
And the second part about those uniforms, as the person pointed out with the font, that font is also copyrighted by NC State.
Mm-hmm.
So that's this is the university trying to do their job as a branding font and their branding marks. So I don't blame the people who work in the university side, Chris Boyer obviously being one of them, for wanting some consistency. But I also can understand in 2026 or even the last 20 years, if you really want to go to it, Maryland and Oregon have had success in being the schools that have different brands, different marks.
Yes.
And while, yes, that could potentially be confusing, I can see there's a way to honor your different marks, your different histories. When people say state and there's red and white, we're not talking about Michigan State. We're not talking about Iowa State.
Yeah.
So I've never understood. That was also a conversation because when Debbie came back, Debbie said, everybody calls us state. We're going to put state on our uniforms.
Mhm.
And then that's where the university came in and was like, well, there are some people who don't know. And everyone in North Carolina might know, but if you're from somewhere else, you'll never know who we are. And it's kind of like, So you have a lot of different conversations and moving parts and moving levers, but essentially you have the university saying, hey, we want to have consistent branding marks so that people know who we are when they turn on the TV. And then you have this other set from fans and again, coaches who like winning In certain, right? If you wear a color combo, they sure as shit want to wear it again.
Yeah,
you know,
superstitious about
like
that
I
kind of
remember last year Kevin had a pink quarter zip and they lost, and I was like, "Ooh, you could get me one of those. I know you'll never wear it again."
Well, I mean, Roy Williams will retire suits. I mean,
He had a
really
black
expensive
pinstripe.
suits he will not wear.
He had a black pinstripe that he wore to Notre Dame. They lost to Notre Dame and his friend Mike Bray, and it's still in his closet. And it's still, he keeps the box score in the pocket, the inside pocket, so that if he goes into the closet and thinks, "Oh, I'm going to wear it for the game tonight," and he looks at the box score and goes,
Like,
"Oh, shit,
no,
we lost."
Nope, not that one. Not that one. All right, couple things.
That's why they had to put the Argyle one in the Hall of Fame at Carolina from the 2017 run, because he wore it every game.
Couple things. First and foremost, I like Chris Boyer. So I just want to make, you're not speaking
of the Joes. He likes you, and he doesn't like
you're
me,
not.
man.
Well,
That's fine.
You're not speaking for the show. If you're gonna bring Chris Boyer up, well then I have to.
No,
I have to give equal time here and say I ain't got no problems with Chris Boyer. In fact, he and I have had several very productive conversations about a variety of different things. So, hey, I just want to put that out there. It's Giglio that's got a problem, not me. Okay, just want to put that out there. Chris, you're my guy. Now, secondly, this is I've been very zen through today's show, but this actually might break me. This is a bullshit story. Okay. This is another classic because Will Wade seems to have this freaking, like, he has spoken the magic words to people.
We're fucking on the Will Wade bed tonight.
It's like lemming shit. Well, Will Wade wants to wear. Well, we all gotta do it now. Okay. If Will Wade said he wanted to wear the 3 drowning rats, would you guys be about that shit? If Will Wade, honestly, like Will Wade, I mean, what does Will Wade know about NC State in the grand scheme of things, right? And he comes back and goes, "Yo, what's up with those 3? What's up with that 3 wolf logo, the tri-wolf logo? That's just kind of tight. I'd like to get that in a jersey." And he wore it or whatever it is. Do you think we get the same reaction? Probably, because everybody goes, "Well, if Will Wade wants it, then we have to do what he wants because he might leave." Okay. Chill the fuck out, please, people. Just chill the fuck out. That's number one. Number two, people just gave away the game. Well, it's really blowing up on Twitter. All right. Absolutely dismissing it. I am dismissing it. In the grand scheme of things, I don't think people are that broken up about the Slobbering Wolf. Because here's the other thing. It's readily available to you as a fan if you want to wear it. You want to wear the Slobbering Wolf? It's available. You got hats. You got shirts. It's all over the place. You will not struggle to find the freaking Slobbering Wolf. So I don't know why this is like a thing. Like, well, now we have to get it on a jersey now. Pick a fucking logo. You know? It's like Tuffy is the iconic mark, okay? The strutting wolf is the iconic mark, not the Slobbering Wolf. No offense to Elliot Avett. You might like that logo. There are people out there that like the diamond logo from back in the day, right?
Yeah.
The anagram, okay? I mean, you want to talk about a place and time. The anagram was definitely, that diamond logo was of a place and time, right? NC State's real freaking simple. What do I associate with NC State? It's not State. It's not NC State. It's that damn wolf. It's Tuffy. So why are we now suddenly, after years fighting tooth and nail to get Tuffy front and center, do we now suddenly want to change that? Tuffy's the mark, man. That's the logo. That's the logo. So stop overthinking it. That's my hot take for the day. Got me all fired up about this stuff. I don't know. I think some of it is just part of what bothers me is the absolute simping that takes place by fandoms because Will Wade wants something. Okay, cool. Or go with the iconic logo, which is Tuffy. Okay. You don't see this at Carolina, by the way, right? You don't see this with Carolina. They know
they've started incorporating their throwback 82.
That's a particular colorway. Duke will do it from time to time. But when we're talking about Carolina, there's no mistaking what it is. It's that interlocking NC, man. The Argyle, all that kind of stuff.
Hold on.
Yes.
Don't. If anybody can podcast on a Monday now, don't fucking hand wave Carolina's issues with uniforms. Because remember, zero dark 30. No. They Bubba Cunningham had to be the one who went and tell them, "Hey guys, we have the most iconic colorway in all of sports.
Exactly.
We're gonna wear light blue and white.
Right.
Those are our colors." and the Argyle that we had created for us.
Yes.
We're going to wear that too.
Right. My point is
that was the whole thing.
The point is somebody stepped in and said, that's cute. This is the mark. That's what I'm getting at. Yeah, and somebody at NC State has to tell people, guys, yeah, cool. The Slobbering Wolf is nice and all, but you understand the thing that people associate with us? It's that toughy. Okay. So stop with this other crap. So I do think there's an element there. And yes, Bubba was the adult in the room. He goes, guys, why are we going navy blue exactly? Why are we doing these ridiculous why are we doing the foot on the side of a chrome helmet? No. Let's get back to what we are. Not everybody can be Oregon. And actually, after a while, does the Oregon thing even hit anymore?
Well, they have so many different logos.
Right. Like, I don't even know if the Oregon thing hits anymore. So anyway.
I'll say this in terms of NC State was here. And here's the real issue. Carolina has a history with their uniform.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why NC State's trying to use this state and the plain white. They won 2 national championships in those uniforms. That's why they want to use it. But you know the truth about NC State and the Slobbering Wolf and even Tuffy?
Mm-hmm.
Willis Casey was famously frugal. The long time NC State athletic director, who was a Carolina grad, one of the few, him and Bobby Purcell, they only accepted Carolina grads to work at State. Okay. Todd Turner, not on that list.
No, he's not.
We get a great brief history of Triangle Sports. We'll have to get into that one of these days.
I've talked to Todd Turner, man. It's about beer at Carter Finley, but that's another story altogether.
Casey was famously frugal, i.e. cheap. So if you actually go back and look at their football uniforms or their basketball stuff, they didn't put anything on them. They were purposely drab because it would cost more money to put Tuffy on the uniforms, to put even the extra lettering of NC on the uniforms. If you go back and look at their old football uniforms of Ted Brown and Chuck Amato and the White Shoes defense, Joe, they're even plainer than Penn State. So people get confused when they think, oh, well, we have these amazing we have this amazing Tuffy logo. Go and find it anywhere you can in history.
Yeah.
So I think that's where people get a little bit confused over Slobbering Wolf, which is just a nice logo. I mean, it's a nice logo.
Yeah.
But it probably reminds you of hanging out on Hillsborough Street in 1978. It's probably what it really reminds you of.
Yeah.
If we're being honest, right? Carolina gets to use not a third logo, but the old uniform.
Mm-hmm.
State kind of fights itself on this stuff.
A little bit. I agree with you on that.
Right. What I think you're right about with Will Wade is sometimes it takes a new person to come in and just be like, well, I don't understand. We have this pretty cool logo. Why don't we use it?
Yeah.
But that's not how he framed it, of course. He kind of framed it like the man was holding them down and he couldn't, which, of course, is only going to stir the fans up and say, well, I really like this logo. I don't know why we don't do this. And that gets us back to that 2013, 14, 15, 16, 17 time frame.
Yeah.
Where now, by the way, Stanford and Syracuse are in the same conference.
Yes. Oh, by the way, you actually kind of gave the Block S short shrift because never forget, and I actually have the hat somewhere in the house. I don't know where it is. It's somewhere in storage. But NC State had a hat that was just an S. There was no NC in it.
Right. Because that was
just an S.
Chuck was the one who brought back, who added the logo.
Yeah.
Chuck added the NC to it because Chuck's teams, the White Shoes teams in the 60s and 70s, were just an S again because they were so cheap as an athletic department. I'm not kidding. Like, I've seen the technician. Yeah. I've seen the technician archives. And I remember when people were like, man, we should really wear whatever throwback jerseys. And I'm like, you don't understand. Your throwback jerseys are a Hanes white t-shirt. Like that's what your throwback jersey is because they were so cheap.
Yeah. But that S had to change because it was not distinguishable in any way, shape, or form. It was a red hat. It was a red baseball hat with an S on it that if you didn't know any better, it was Stanford. I remember wearing that.
Was the 90s.
I remember wearing that hat down to Florida.
Ray Tanner.
Yeah. And I remember, and Elliott had just gotten the job because I remember, God, I was the WKNC general manager at the time, and I had a conversation with Les Robinson, the AD at the time, and Elliott Avon, who had just taken over at the job to get games on WKNC. And Elliott, being the salt of the earth dude that he is, who loves NC State, was like, hey, do you want to go to the Reynolds locker where we keep all of our stuff? And I'm, me being like a junior at the time, I'm like, hell yeah, free shit. So Elliot takes me back into Reynolds, and he's got this big gigantic closet of stuff that nobody wears. And he's like, what's your head size? I think I was like 7 1/8. And I was like, here you go. Boom, done. I was like, sweet. And I remember wearing that hat down to Florida when I was visiting family, and people were like, where'd you get the Stanford hat? So it's true. So Naheem's experience is not all that different than that S. So yes, you have this distinguishable mark, which is the Tuffy logo. But yes, I do want my thought experiment. What if Will Wade really loved the 3 drowning rats?
We have had unbelievable audience participation the last few weeks. I guess I should go on eBay and see if I can find a drowning rat. I had a drowning rat hat when I was in school that I liked the drowning rats. I did.
You did?
One, though. I did. Yeah.
Jeez. Okay.
In part because they came out like in 95 or 96 when we had worn like the worst Apex athletic wear uniforms with the crazy swiggles and the everything else. And I'm like, can we just get something that's not?
All right.
Like,
you want a deep cut? We'll close on this. I don't know if you know where I'm going with this, but this is going to be a YouTube exclusive. Sorry for the audio audience, but there's only one way to do this. Do we want to bring this back? Do we want to bring back the cross-eyed wolf?
Wait, where did you find that?
Oh, that was something that they sold in the student stores back in the day.
Oh my God.
That is an actual shirt that they sold as far back, I want to say 2010. I want to say 2010. That was a shirt that they sold at NC State at one point in time. The wolf has cross eyes. Okay?
Yeah.
Now, if you really want to be a real one, bring that one back. Okay? Anyway, on that note, me saying this, and we have like how many freaking logos for the show? But that's neither here nor there. Anyway, hey, we need stuff to be on the secret stash, all right?
Do as I say, not as I do.
We're not an iconic brand yet.
Look at all this sun, by the way.
I know, I love it.
Not
Actually
expecting that today.
Means I can actually go about doing some things today. I'm very excited about that. All right. Once again, my undefeated streak of it'll be a short show today, maybe an hour and 15 minutes. Nah, we went an hour and 45 minutes. It is what it is. Shout out to Hayes. You get the extra time. All right. That's going to wrap it up. We'll see you from Eford Studios tomorrow.